Just like that, we're back. Thank you, everybody, tuning in to Fight Junkies. Today's a special day. Shout out to Extreme Couture GI Foundation. I was at the Sahara. They did a collab with Tough Enough, and while I was there, I got to meet an extraordinary gentleman in person that I've been talking to for a few months. We got Coach Dewey Cooper in the house, former two-weight division champion, kickboxing, Muay Thai, boxing. What's up, Coach? Thanks for coming.
Hey, man. Hello. Great. I'm grateful to be here. Thanks for having me. Man, it's been a crazy last few weeks, and I'm excited to be here, man. I always see Fight Junkies on my gram and all of that. I'm like, man, I look forward to doing an interview with you. Yeah, let's chop it up.
Yeah, we've been going. It started with Ode and myself.
Yes.
Ode was co-hosting, and then he's got to be focused. He's got his show, but he's still an active UFC fighter. So it's you got to be dialed in, which I think as his coach, you know that he has to be dialed in.
Yeah, for sure.
You've had a busy
day.
Oh, so you've had a busy time the last month. That's why when I hit you up, I said enjoy the family, enjoy chilling on the couch. How have you been? How's the come down from all that?
Man, it's been magnificent. I'm still hyped about the Francis Ngannou Tyson Fury fight. We stayed in Saudi Arabia for 3 weeks before the fight. We finished. We did a 12-week camp here. The last 3 weeks there, it was awesome, man. I've never been to Saudi Arabia. I've been to the UAE before, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, all of that, but never Saudi. And man, it was very nice. It was really a good time. And you seen what happened in the fight. It was just a historic night for everyone involved. And as far as the show, before we even get to the fight, man, it was like the biggest celebration, festivity, extravaganza you'll ever see, man. Just the posters and the decor of the stadium was angelic, man. I will never forget that event. They're doing it right in Saudi Arabia, man, for real. Your Excellency, Turkey al-Sheikh, it don't get no higher level than that, man.
Yeah, I mean, literally, maybe the royal family at United Kingdom. That's about it.
Yes.
But I want to get into the fight with Francis. But I'm a fan of you too. Not just your lineage that you've completed throughout your 40 years and your coaching, but let's take it back a little before we jump into like what every other guy is doing. Let's just talk about the Francis fight. I want to know more about Coach Dewey Cooper, DC Cobra. You born in LA, and you started, I'm sure you came up like a lot of us do, fighting and different things. When did you get into the actual organized fighting? Was it around? It was like '94. Was it around your first fight?
No. I started amateur fighting in smokers in California, all over Southern California, as a little kid in the '80s. I started doing Muay Thai in 1985. And after 1 year, I started competing. There was a bunch of amateur smokers and Muay Thai events. That region was the first region to do Muay Thai fights. Before that, everything was above the waist. I turned pro in 1994. And yeah, just fought a long time, fought all over the world, trained all over the world, from Thailand to Russia to Croatia, to France, trained all over the world, and had a good long amateur career and professional career, man. Martial arts has always been a part of my life since I was a kid, pre-teenage years.
Can you talk about like I was born in the '80s, but I was a kid, grew up in the '90s. Can you talk about like the feeling of the fight game back in those days, like in the early days, before all the social media, all the clout chasing, when it was like real fighters, real dogs, like what it felt like to be a part of that?
Yeah, definitely the golden era. But back then, politics have always been involved in fighting, but it's much more so now. Back in the old days, especially in the martial arts realm, in the kickboxing realm, everyone fought each other. There was no ducking or no politics when it came to that. If you were a fighter, you would fight whoever. Champions always fought other champions, and stuff like that. The money was never great in kickboxing, so you did it from the heart more than just to earn money. And I think that's the difference. So it wasn't a really big business thing. So everyone just wanted to compete against one another. Everyone fought one another. If you watch any of the old fights from the 80s and the 90s, you'll see like Maurice Smith fought everyone in America, then fought everyone around the world. All the top champions, guys who I love like Rob Cayman, Ernesto Huss, all these type of guys, Rick Rufus, Maurice Smith, all these guys fought each other all the time. It wasn't like there was one supreme champion and he would not fight the other guys. So we came from that era. When I was an amateur, you would just show up to the event. You never knew who you were fighting in advance. If someone weighed your weight, you guys would get on the scale and you fight each other. So that was the lineage that I came from. I even did karate tournaments back in the days. You guys know how those go, just like wrestling tournaments. You show up, whoever lines up with you, you fight them. So before the social media era, I think fighters were willing to risk more because now with social media and a person being able to publicize themselves and make themselves popular, it's a little more crucial about losses and wins, more so than we came up. It was about how great you fought and how hard you fought and the heart you showed in the ring. Nowadays, you still need those things, but your record is ultra important as far as money and finance and business and sponsorships. And so I think that's really diluted the sport a little bit because now the top guys don't want to fight each other unless the organizations make them. So yeah, it's just a whole new world now, man. Before the promoters had a lot of power over you. So if you refuse to fight, who knows? You may not never get another fight. Nowadays, you can tell the promoter what you want to do because you're self-promoting and making yourself popular. And once you reach a level of popularity, you write your own bill, you write your own route to your fights and stuff like that. So it's just a crazy world out there now. I like to think, the purist I am, that there's still a lot of fighters with heart and willing to fight each other, but I think the business does get in the way of that. And you see that in the sport of boxing right now. The business gets in the way of it all the time. Boxing is a business disguised as a sport nowadays, and that's why mixed martial arts is the most popular fight sport in America for sure.
Yeah, MMA, UFC, one. Speaking of one, you're coming from Muay Thai, kickboxing, and boxing.
Yes.
Do you have a lot to do with a lot of the one championship fighters? And do you go over there because you specialize in? I mean, they're huge. In some parts, they do bigger numbers than anybody else in the world.
Southeast Asia, yeah.
Huge.
I used to train a few guys, but not now because I live in Vegas and there's a lot of UFC guys, Bellator guys, stuff like that, PFL guys here. So my slate is pretty full with fighters.
Why do you think kickboxing's not as big? I think kickboxing's super exciting. I don't know why it's not as big here. I mean, I just can't for the life of me.
For some reason, us Americans, we love apple pie baseball and stuff like that. and since it doesn't seem like it's an American thing, I think the normal people don't really get enthralled in it. Even like I said, when I was a kid, Muay Thai started gaining some popularity, but then it fizzled out right away. Boxing was always the main thing; everything else was secondary. I really think it's because kickboxing, Muay Thai is just not an American tradition. So the normal people, the general public, just don't get behind it.
Like football or soccer, right?
Yeah, same thing. It's called football all over the world. Our football, to us, is football. We call their football soccer. It's just the ego of the American mentality. We feel like if we didn't start it, it's not good enough for us. And you're right. We thought when K1, kicked off in 1998 in America, that is, it was 93 all over everywhere else in the world. We're even 5 years late for that.
Yeah.
When it kicked off in America, we thought K1 was going to take over, and it was on ESPN. We were fighting on TV. It got popular for a while, but it just never catapulted into the main realm. And MMA finally broke that mold and became as popular as boxing, and I'm really happy about that. But yeah, for some reason, I guess kickboxing, the martial arts way, is known as more of an Asian thing, and I guess that's why the Americans just don't really embrace it like they should. But kickboxing was my first art. Muay Thai was my first art. So I always have a deep love for kickboxing and Muay Thai for sure.
Yeah, it's one of those sports that it's brutal.
Yeah,
and it takes some real cojones to get in there.
I tell everybody, boxing, even though nowadays, you got the MMA versus boxer beef, a lot of MMA guys don't call boxing a real fight, but guys, boxing is the most dangerous sport. 2 or 3 guys every year die in the ring in boxing. Live events. In 30 years of MMA, 1 or 2 people have passed away. So boxing is a very brutal sport. People don't realize that. A lot of damage happens, a lot of head damage happens in boxing because you only got those 2 weapons, man. If things go wrong, they go terribly wrong. MMA, you're in a cage. You have so many things you could do, striking, wrestling, submissions. It takes heart to be an MMA fighter. You got to have a heart because it is more scary, smaller gloves, so it takes heart. But when it comes to kickboxing, it takes toughness. Even when you win fights, you're hurt. Kickboxing, Muay Thai, it takes a tough dude to be able to do it because there's a lot of damage involved. Them leg kicks, the clacking of the shins. You can't take a guy down if you get caught in the leg too many times and get hurt. Muay Thai, dude, it takes a lot of toughness because there's a lot of pain involved. MMA, it takes more heart. Boxing just takes you being an athlete and have a good aerobic gas tank. So that's the difference in the 3, man. I love all 3 sports. Muay Thai is in my heart, but I love boxing a lot, man. I love boxing, and of course, I love mixed martial arts.
I had read that, and I don't think there's many people left walking the earth, breathing air, that have had Muhammad Ali come watch them fight.
Yes.
Can you talk about the emotions that you had knowing that Muhammad Ali came to watch you fight?
Yeah, it was awesome. His daughter, May Ali, and Layla Ali are friends of mine. But May, she went to UNLV. She was graduating, and I went to her graduation party at her house. And that was the first time I met Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali is my favorite of all time. Sugar Ray Robinson and Muhammad Ali. Jack Johnson is third for me. Anyway, I met him for the first time, man. It was awesome. They told him I was a fighter, kickboxer/boxer. I'll never forget Ali put his hand up and he said, "Jab my hand." And man, I swear to God, I hit him hard as I could in his hand.
I'm going to show you.
And Ali, I'm not going to say what he said totally, but when he shook his hand and said, "You were strong," you know what else? And after that, he told me right then that he was going to come see me fight. And that was like 6 months before I had to fight in K1. And fight week, I got a call that, "Hey, Muhammad Ali's coming to see you fight." Man, it was awesome. And I'll never forget when I got in the ring. It was a big K1 tournament, 8-man tournament. I ended up fighting 3 fights in that same night. I fought this Japanese fighter, Nobu Huashi. He was a Japanese champion. Then I fought the undefeated at the time, Mighty Mo, big old 280-pound Samoan power puncher. He had knocked everybody out. I beat him, and then in the finals, I fought one of my favorite fighters, Michael the Black Sniper McDonald. And that was a crazy fight, man, fighting Michael McDonald. Anyway, before the final fight, myself and Michael McDonald were in the finals. Ali had just got there. He missed my first fight. He got there at the end of my second fight. Anyway, he made eye contact with me. He pointed at me like this right when Michael Buffer was announcing my name. And I pointed back at him, and it made me so hyped, man. It was incredible. Mike Tyson came with him also. Me and Mike been friends for a long time. We've been friends since the late 90s. Mike Tyson came to several of my fights. But that night was special, man. I fought 3 full fights in one night with Muhammad Ali at ringside. He came and embraced me, gave me a hug after it was over, man. I'll never forget that. It was like my greatest moment in fighting just because Ali was there. I fought 3 pro fights in one night. I was the smallest guy in the entire league, coming in at 200 pounds, and everybody I fought were 40 to 80 pounds heavier than me that night. So it was awesome, man. I'll never forget that.
Oh, that's the days that will never be replicated ever again.
Yes. Yeah. They do 4-man tournaments now, but it's like, keep it real, guys. 8-man tournaments. You got to get 3 fights in the same night to win. We got to take it back to that. And one championship should be doing stuff like that, by the way. I'm not sure why they're not. On their kickboxing section, they should be doing 8-man tournaments, man. There's nothing more real than an 8-man tournament, man, because fighting 3 times in one night is crazy. You get any injuries from their first 2 fights, it definitely affects that last fight, man. So it was crazy, man.
The guy that just walked in, Austin, was asking before you got here if I had to call him, if I was going to, he wanted to know when you were coming. What'd you say? When is,
I was like, when are you getting back in the ring?
When are you coming out of retirement?
Man, let me tell you something. With all these guys doing these fights, I try to give all my energy to my fighters, but I'm definitely down to do something if somebody wanted to do something. You know what I mean? But I'd have to train. I would need at least 6 months to prepare, just because I want to drop weight and really be ready. You know what I mean? And I'd have to try to manage what I do with the fighters, because I'm really serious about training, man. It's a lifestyle for me. And I give my all to my fighters, man. When I go home at night, dude, I'm spent every single night. And not only training O'Day and the Basharat brothers and Cody Garbrandt and Carlos Takam and, Amir Abazi, just so many guys. I got Francis Ngannou, and training him is like getting hit by a goddamn 18-wheeler every day. It's like, it's crazy, man. I just step out of the physical realm and go spiritual when it comes to training some of these guys. Oh, Daniel Zellhuber with his hard-ass kicks, I mean, it's crazy. So in order to fight, it would have to be something that's worth it and something like that, because, I had my career. I had a great time. I fought since I was a young kid. And so there's nothing that I feel like I have to try to do. But if someone wanted to fight me or some shit like that, then I would do it. Like,
I totally understand, because I'm a soldier.
Yes.
And I watch your videos and I relate to you motivating a group of fighters, because I used to have a platoon of soldiers.
Yes.
And I'd be out there dogging these guys and grinding these and just pushing them to the limit.
Yes.
And then when I got out, I was lost.
Yes.
So now when I'm with fighters who used to fight, it's almost like I'm being here as just a host. That's why I'm talking that I'm not a fighter. I want to get in there and do more, because I have that thing in me too. And I feel like I gotta get it out somehow.
Yes.
So a lot of fighters don't.
Yeah. But see, you're 38. I retired at 43. My last fight was 43 years old. So that's the difference. At 38, you're just ending your prime. You definitely got something left. Shit.
Yeah, I'm ready.
If I was 38, there'd be no question. I'd still be fighting.
Hell yeah.
But one good thing about being a martial artist, I did Muay Thai, but I also got. I'm a 5th degree black belt in Chinese Kempo, because our school had Muay Thai and Chinese Kempo. So I just trained all the time. Being a martial artist, I'm a fighter first, fighter/martial artist. You learn to train people early. Once you get your black belt, you train the little kids and the lower belts. So I got my training while I was working. When I made the transition to being a coach, I was in the middle of my career. I just signed my contract with K1. My first champion was a girl named Jessica Rajan Rakosi in boxing. She was my first pro boxer that I trained. We started training in year 2000. She won her first world title in 2002. Ended up winning 6 world titles in 3 different weight classes. We unified the 135-pound lightweight division, had all 4 of the belts. In 2002, she was considered the top 135-pound female in the world. And you guys will probably remember her from The Ultimate Fighter when Ronda and Misha were the coaches. Jessica was the one on Team Rousey who got to the finals and ended up losing to the Vixen. Just won the belt, lost it to lost it again.
Andrade?
No. Well, the Vixen, Venezuelan Vixen.
Juliana Pena.
Yeah, Pena.
Yes.
Remember, Pena beat Jessica Rakosi in the finals of the Ultimate Fighter. Jessica had no MMA experience. She was a straight-up boxer and got on the show and did well. She beat you know, some really good fighters. Roxanne Modafferi, she knocked her out. She beat God, Raquel Pennington. You know, she beat her, and then she got to the finals and lost. But
You don't see that a lot.
yeah, but Jessica was my
boxing.
first fighter. People don't realize that. You know, so I've been training professional since the year 2000. So when we go to like 2023, me training Francis for a boxing fight, guys acting like I'm some just MMA striking coach. I got 8 world titles as a boxing head coach professionally. Jessica Rakoczy was my first. Bebu Shumanov, he was a light heavyweight world champion. He was the first world champion from Kazakhstan. Triple G was the second Kazakh world champion. I trained him. We won the title, had 3 title defenses. Jesse Vargas, we won the WBO welterweight world title, knocking out undefeated Saddam Ali, and we lost the belt to Manny Pacquiao. And then just last year, 2022, my female fighter, Jamie Miracle Mitchell, we went to Liverpool and dethroned the world champion from Liverpool in our hometown, Shannon Courtney. So people act like I'm some new coach. I've been doing this shit, coaching pros over 20-something years and 8 world titles in boxing. So it's funny to me how people viewed it like Francis didn't have a boxing coach.
You know, I watched an interview that you just did, I think, at your gym. I forget who the guy was, but I want to commend you for not smacking the shit out of this guy.
Oh, you talking about the Mayweather channel.
It might have been. This guy, what was he getting paid by the Fury family? Like, everything that came out of his mouth was like disrespect. I was like, this guy's got some fucking balls. Because you got all your dogs behind you. You don't fuck with Coach. We're going to beat you up. You know?
The only reason why I didn't smack him is because I know him. People don't realize, remember, my lineage is the Mayweather team.
Yeah, Jeff Mayweather.
Jeff Mayweather was
coach,
my
right?
boxing coach. I trained with Roger Mayweather. I trained with Floyd Sr. Mayweather. Anytime Jeff went out of town, I trained with his older brothers. I've known Floyd Jr. since he was like 17, 18 years old. I seen him come up from the Olympics to do what he did. So Jody, the guy who did the interview for the Mayweather channel, has known me for a long time through Jeff Mayweather. So he felt comfortable enough to be his true self and interview me like that. Anyone else, dude, I would have either walked out or smacked him in his face.
Well, I've been looking for someone to get in there and bare knuckle or box with. He's an MMA journalist, a boxing journalist.
Yes.
I'll scrap with him.
Jody don't want that smoke, man.
I've never seen the guy.
Yeah.
So.
The thing is, you know, he loves Tyson Fury, and like I said, he feels like he knows me, so he could interview me like that, and you know, we'll
That's
we'll let
one
him
thing,
live.
Coach. But you got to be honest. We all watched the same fight. Let's get into the Francis fight. This is a fight show. Let's get into it. There's no 85 at least % of people that have eyeballs that work in their head connected to a brain know who really won the fight. Yes. And they know it's a business, and they already had the Usyk fight lined up in Saudi in the same goddamn place. There's so much money on the line. They couldn't let the MMA world champ, Francis Ngannou, who's never had a professional boxing match, come in and beat. Do you think if this was just Francis and Fury in a backyard with some judges that I mean, across the scorecards, he would have won?
Yeah, for sure.
How do you deal with the hate? How are you dealing with the bullshit? How are you dealing with the hate, all the critics, and everyone saying that he did not have a chance?
Well, that was crazy. Like, before the fight, guys, literally everyone were laughing, saying this was outrageous. Francis has no shot. 4 rounds max is what everyone said. Everyone said Francis' best chance to win is when the bell rings, run out there and purse swing, street fight from hell until he just exhausts himself and the fight will be over. We heard all the noise, but, you know, when you're in the military, you know, and you're training, you're not hearing civilians say, oh, I'm scared that I may have to go to war. You're training for war, and you know when that phone call rings, it's time for you guys to go to the field. You're not even going to think about anything but your training and then dissolving whatever problem that you guys' mission is. And that's the same way we looked at it. Everyone in our camp, I can say this as real as I can say it. Everyone in the camp felt we were going to win from day one. There was never any doubt. If you look at any of the interviews way before, months before, we were like, God, we're winning the fight. Like, what are you guys talking about? It was crazy to me. I no one thought we had to have a shot. You got the hardest puncher in the world you're facing. Just that alone means he has a shot. You know what I mean? Because if he lands, the fight's over. So it was crazy to me. I knew he could beat him because I knew what type of athlete we had. I knew what type of background he was from. And I knew under those bright lights, he wouldn't fold. He would be who he was in the gym. He'd be who he was his entire UFC career. He'd be who he was in the sparring and the training camp leading up to the fight against Fury. And that's what it's about. Us as coaches, we know if our fighter is on par or on pace for victory. You know, you put him in there with different sparring partners and you gauge it. Each week, we got to get a little better, a little better. Francis was doing that every week. We had a 15-week camp. He sparred so many different guys, undefeated pro boxers, highest level guys. We weren't going with easy guys, and he was making those progressions weekly. We couldn't wait. By week 10, we couldn't wait till it was fight time because we knew what was going to happen. It was definitely no surprise to us, man, and we said it, and we said it. The last thing about the media workouts, we had a media workout here in Vegas before the fight, maybe 5 weeks before the fight, and everyone went nuts. Oh, he's going to get killed. Fury's dad saying, I don't even want to watch anymore. This kid can't fight at all. Guys, for the 100th time, it's a media workout. In media workouts, you don't know what the guy's done. If he had just sparred an hour before the media workout started, if he has to spar after the media workout, or if he's been in the mountains running all day and trained twice already before he gets to the media workout. A media workout is not your main training. So whatever you see at the media workout is just the fighter coming there to take questions, give you a little footage, and just showcase himself. But people take those media workouts way too serious.
Well, like you just said, with a soldier going to war, I don't listen to the civilians. I just train.
Yes.
I could see the MMA critics and I could see the boxing, but the actual people behind the scenes that know boxing, that know you, and how many champions that you by yourself, how many belts you've won. Then you are with Mike Tyson.
Yes.
You and Mike Tyson together. The critics let him talk shit.
Yes.
The boxing community, Teddy Atlas, all of them who, you know, and Teddy did good post. He said he did a great job. Shout out to Teddy. But there's a small group of people that should have known. Like, you're not going to just feed him to the wolves.
Yes, for
you
sure.
care about your fighters.
Yes.
I just don't know how they. I mean, they didn't give him a chance, and he went in there, and I think he won the fight.
Yeah, coaches like Abel Sanchez, guys who I think are great coaches, were just talking way too reckless, saying it was a waste of time. The fight won't go 10 rounds. He has zero chance. Everyone has a chance, and the mentality of that person gives them a bigger chance. If you have a guy with a mentality that's unwiltering, relentlessly won't break under anything, then you got a chance. And people had their footage to see. When Francis fought Stipe the first time, he was tired after the second round. Stipe is the best heavyweight in the history of MMA. He still couldn't finish Francis. Francis was dead tired and went 3 more rounds with Stipe. It was our worst night. I was training Francis at that time. It was our worst night or whatever. But think about that. Francis never broke. He never cowered. He never quit. He just was exhausted. Fatigue makes all of us real normal. You know what I mean? but for people to say he's gonna no chance, he's getting stopped in 3 rounds, is crazy. Even if I were involved in this fight, I would have known Francis Ngannou is going to go a long ways because he fought Gunn on one leg his last UFC fight and went 25 minutes on one leg, man. I mean, one leg. He destroyed his knee, ACL, MCL, all this shit. Yeah, 3 weeks before the fight, I was there. It was scary. He trained on one leg for 2 weeks. Him and I stood right in front of each other and just punched each other for 2 straight weeks because he couldn't do anything else. But he never. I wanted him to pull out a fight Eric Nixon wanted to pull out a fight. Markel Martin wanted him to pull out of that fight. He was the only one who believed he could win on one leg, and he went out there and did it. We told him, we believe you, but man, it's... Whoa.
Yeah, let's fight another day.
Like, the probabilities fresh. You're fighting a heavyweight who moves, kicks good, box good. He knows you from a previous team. He knows all your moves, and you're on one leg. Don't take the fight. The probabilities were very low in our eyes. Francis did weak. He's like, I'm beating him.
I got it, coach.
So now we get to this fight. We trained for 15 weeks. People were saying, oh, he's going to gas out. He only has 3 rounds. He went 25 in the octagon. You don't think he could do 12 minutes in a boxing ring? It's ridiculous to me.
You know what also bothered me? And people are going to be like, oh, Fight Junkie's just dick riding Francis because I'm in the MMA world.
Yes.
And I'm a part of MVP. So
yes,
it is what it is.
Yes.
We had an MMA champion come over and whoop the lineal heavyweight. So kiss my ass.
His first fight.
Yeah, his first fight. I heard so many critics. The same with Israel Adesanya and Shaw Strickland. Yeah. Instead of saying how good the guy was on that night who stood up to the champion, they're saying how bad the champion looked. And I hate that because, they're saying Fury didn't fight for a year. Well, Francis didn't fight for 2 years.
2 years.
Ripped his knee in half, was going against... the chess pieces of the world in the fight game to try to better his name and come and sign contracts. That's a lot of emotional stuff.
Yes.
I heard that he was borrowing future fight purses and stressed out, doing all that in front of the world, and he still went in there and did what he did.
And people he care about, media people that he developed relationships with, saying he fumbled the bag and really not really smart, talking about his management, talking about his team, saying he just made the worst choices in his life. So all that stuff went on. Plus, you're not fighting for damn near 2 years, knee surgeries. It was crazy. But again, the belief. And not just believing, knowing, man. He knew he could beat Tyson Fury. We knew he could beat Tyson Fury. We were saying 3 weeks out from the fight, when we got to Saudi Arabia, I just can't wait to show you guys. It was no more like, we believe we could win, we're going to win. We're all saying, we can't wait to show you at that point, because we already knew. We already knew he was going to be able to do the rounds. We knew he'd be competent with his boxing. And we knew he was going to at least knock him down. You know what I mean? Remember, people really forget this was Francis Ngannou's first boxing fight. To fight a 10-round fight, your first boxing fight, is unprecedented. To fight against the defending, in his prime, undefeated world champion is insane. Even when Conor fought Floyd, remember Floyd was damn near 41 years old. He was in his 40s, out of his prime, and Conor was the bigger guy, supposedly the stronger guy. In this case, Francis was the smaller guy for the first time ever, because Francis is huge. He was way less experienced fighting the guy in his prime, undefeated. So I understand why people thought he was going to lose, but to say a champion doesn't have a chance is crazy to me, because that's another bonus they forgot about. Francis Ngannou is a champion.
I just had to come and congratulate you.
Thank you.
Shout out to Josh, the American fan.
Thank you.
Yes, November 10th?
Yes, sir.
Somebody said something, I was like,
You got to at least show your face. You got to at least show your face on the camera. Guys, go follow my buddy Josh, the American fan. He's a great guy.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Josh. Thank you.
Have a good show, bud.
Yeah.
Do you think, and this is a serious question, do you believe that the boxing world would have allowed this fight to happen if they knew how good Francis was?
Definitely not. Because, of course, they wanted, the boxing world wanted a good fight, but they want to thumb their nose at the mixed martial artists and say, see, guys, you're not on our level. Real fast history, because I'm an old head and I know about the history. People keep talking about this boxer versus MMA thing. They always mention Randy Couture and James Toney. They mention Floyd and Conor. But there was one more fight, though, guys. What about when Tim Silva fought Ray Mercer in the cage? Ray Mercer knocked out Tim Silva, the boxer. He went into the cage. He was the first before Couture and James Toney, all of that. Ray Mercer versus Tim Silva. They fought in a cage, and Ray Mercer knocked them out. So, you know, a fight could go either way. A boxer may be able to get in the cage and beat an MMA guy, and the MMA guy can definitely get in the ring and beat a boxer. We already seen that 2 weeks ago. So it's not necessarily about the style or the type of fight. It's about the person. It's always about the person, what they have endured in their life, how strong their mind is, what type of training they did, and at fight night, how it goes. And that's the bottom line.
That I don't want to give too much credit to the guy that I don't even want to say his name. He annoyed me. He was driving me nuts during that interview. But he said, do you think that Francis could beat anyone in the top 10? And I'm thinking, he just beat the best guy. Where do you think's next? I personally, as a fan, and I've been supporting Francis because I know what he went through, and I've been through a lot, you know, from homelessness, addiction, divorces, Iraq. So to see someone go through so much and come out the other side, I relate to them. That's why people always say to me, like, Bobby, you tear up a lot. And it's people, for 10 years, I didn't cry. And now I feel things because I'm not numb anymore. So when I see Mike Tyson tear up, I understand it. It's just the world of pain we have. And when we see stuff, it just comes up. And I think it's actually a strength.
Yeah, definitely.
So what do you think's next? I personally would like to see Anthony Joshua, because I think if he beats, or when he beats him, then there's no questions. I think who's the skinnier guy?
Deontay Wilder.
I think he caves his chest in, to be honest. No disrespect, but I gotta.
Yeah, Deontay has power and all of that, but if we were gonna do a boxing fight next, I would love the rematch with Tyson Fury. It shouldn't have to be one, but I would love that. Secondly, that Anthony Joshua fight, because Anthony's so popular. He's a big, strong, muscular guy. You'd have two titans in there banging it out, and I know that Francis would beat
Joshua.
Anthony Joshua. And by the way, I like Anthony Joshua, but I feel like Francis would beat him in a hell of a fight, man. In a hell of a fight. And the reason why I say that, I'm not gonna give up all the little secrets, but never underestimate the mentality, man. And you talked about homelessness. Francis was homeless as well. Stuff like that just build something within you, man. And that's something I've never been homeless. You know what I mean? I couldn't honestly even imagine being homeless. Who knows what I might do? Would I be civil? Would I be nice? Would I be able to smile? Would I be a courteous person? Or would I start robbing and killing people? I don't know. Hopefully I'll never have to find out. But you've been through that. You know how it is to sleep at night not having a roof over your head. And Francis does too. I felt like that just built something within him that people don't understand. So when you got to fight one man, no matter how great he may be, you've been through worse, man. And all this shit in life is about mentality. And that's why I believe Francis could beat Tyson Fury on his first fight. Once the fight was signed, I was never like, oh no, we're fighting Tyson Fury. I told him, I said, man, you could win this fight. And we're going to train and we're going to win this shit. And fight night, it was there. It was there, man. I'll never forget that decision. I'll never forget being in the ring. I'll never forget Tyson Fury declining the post-fight interview. They canceled the entire.
Yeah, that was weird.
They canceled the entire post-fight. And I remember us not being able to get out of the stadium because so many people embraced Francis. It was like they would not let him even walk to the back dressing room. Not just his African fans, people that were cheering for Tyson at first were trying to just touch Francis. And I got it on video, man. On this phone right now, I got the video of Suleiman telling him, we're going to put you in the top 10 in the WBC. I haven't released it yet, but I actually got the footage right there, him telling him that. I got the footage of him putting the gold bracelet, WBC bracelet on his arm and saying, you shocked the world, even I'm shocked. You know, so it was a great night, man. Unfortunately, boxing is a business disguised as a sport, and they took that cherry on the top for us because you raised Francis' hand that night. That's just history that'll never be repeated. In a rematch, Francis will beat him, but it still wouldn't be the first time they met. They robbed us of one of the greatest moments ever in all of sports that night when they didn't raise Francis' hand. And that's the only bittersweet thing about the entire experience in Saudi Arabia. Man, it was heaven, man. It was great. The training, the facility they gave Francis, the food they fed us, everything was the highest level except for that decision.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
Yep.
We're running out of time. I got
Yes,
one more
sir.
question for you. As a friend of Francis, as a coach to him, as a mentor, do we see him back in MMA? I just, I mean, how do you go from MMA back to? I mean, who the hell is he going to fight?
Yeah. All he said to us was that he planned on doing both of them. You know what I mean? The business is up to him and his manager, but he said to all of us, he said to the whole team, I'm going to do them both, MMA and boxing. So just that answer says absolutely you'll see him back in the cage.
Yeah.
But who knows when? It may be soon, it may be later. But he said he's doing them both, so I expect him to definitely do them both.
Yeah. Well, I want to say, as somebody who's led platoons and soldiers into combat, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
And I'm proud of the man you are. You're an inspiration. I watch a lot of not just the training, but the way you speak, and I could just tell it's real. I know real people when I see them.
Yes, sir.
And I think that's why everybody loves you so much. Do you guys have any questions for the champ before we get out of here? Okay.
I just
Coach.
want to tell everybody, Fight Junkies, you guys absolutely rock. Hey, it's an honor to be here, too. I really appreciate you guys. And everybody around the world, man, remember, if you're the underdog, don't believe all the noise. It's about what you feel, about what you do and what you know. And make sure you get people around you that support that. Just because everyone says you can't doesn't mean you can. You know what I mean? You can do it. You definitely can do it.
Hell yeah. Coach, I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys, Fight Junkies, we're out.